Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of DJ. Not Brainstorm Brewery, just DJ. I'm here from the Brainstorm Brewery podcast. You may have listened to us on Fridays on your drive to work or something like that. With Zendikar Rising coming out, I did a deck tech for Rogues with Sig River Cutthroat as the helm, just to help everyone who is trying to build the new Rogue strategy with all the new Rogues from Zendikar Rising. And today I wanted to go over another personal favorite deck of mine, and that is Selenia Dark Angel. This is probably one of the more unique Orzhov decks that you can build. If you go to edhrec.com and you scroll for Orzhov, pretty much every Orzhov commander or partner variant of commander has one of three traits, and that is either life gain, tokens, or caring about things dying. You have things like Teysa Karlov, Karlov Ghost Council, Krav, Ragna, other versions of Teysa, Elenda, stuff like that. They all generally just fit into this triangle of either caring about stuff dying, gaining life when stuff dies, making tokens and gaining life off the tokens, that kind of thing. And I really like Selenia because it is a very, very different twist on what Orzhov does, but it still fills that Orzhov niche of black and white doing their unique traits together. And some of you might be asking, some of you might be watching this video and saying, DJ, I have no idea what you're talking about. What is Selenia? Is that one of the 87 legends from Commander Legends? Is that one of the 96 legends from Dominaria? No, this card is actually from Tempest. It is on the reserve list, too. I'm going to say the word reserve list twice here, just to get that little YouTube algorithm buzz. But it is a 5-mana 3/3 flyer, and it's a legend, it's an angel, and you can pay 2 life to bounce it back to your own hand. That's it. There's no additional text. It doesn't draw you a bunch of cards. It doesn't kill everything on your opponent's side of the board like everything does nowadays when it's printed. But it's just a very, very simple creature from back in the day. It's a Tempest legend. And why do I have this as my commander? Well, this Selenia deck is a combo deck. It is a combo deck that almost always, 99% of the time, will kill the opponent, all the opponents at the table, or take at least one person out with some kind of interaction that just ends the opponent's game immediately by reducing their life to 0, by reducing their life to negative 6,000, by insta-win effects, stuff like that. And I know generally combo can sometimes have a negative connotation in Commander. There are some players that don't like infinite combos at all. There are some players that say, well, it's fine, but only if you combo in the game after turn 7 or 8 or so. Once the game has gone on long enough, it's okay to have an infinite combo to end the game, but I don't like decks that are designed to win the game with specifically combo. It has sort of a negative connotation. And I would like to make an argument for this Selenia deck specifically that it is a much more interactive deck than a lot of other players' non-combo decks. It is a very high-risk, high-reward play strategy that involves going very deep into a specific combo, and the risk is pretty high because if you don't get the combo off, you can just lose on the spot. It's not like a combo like Selvala or Deadeye Navigator Palancron or Food Chain Prosh, where if your combo's interrupted, you don't really care because it wasn't your primary game plan, or if it was, you have a lot of other backup ways to protect it. This is a very all-in combo that says, well, I'm going to 1 or sometimes lower life total, and then I'm going to play a card that tries to kill you. If you don't have a response, I'm going to win, but if you have even just a lightning bolt sometimes, it can end very badly for me. So we're going to go over the pieces to this deck, why it's unique, how some of the combos work, how some of the ways you can build up to this combo work, and just the unique interactions this deck can have and the effects it can have on the board. So generally, as a very overarching rule, your general game plan is to bring yourself to a very low life total, again, whether that's 1 or 2 or 0 or less sometimes, and then use another card effect to immediately bring your opponent's life total down to 0 with you. And if you're at negative life total, then you have some way to survive, whether that's Platinum Angel or Teferi's Protection or Gideon of the Trial, something like that. And then you have effects like Reverse the Sands, you have effects like Mirror Universe or Axis of Mortality that say, hey, let's trade life totals. Oh, you don't have a way to protect yourself, so you're going to lose the game. These combos can be pretty clunky, obviously. They're not something that's super high tier. They're not something that's going to go off turn 2 or turn 3 like some crazy Hermit Druid or Thassa's Oracle combo. But in my opinion, again, it is a very fun twist on the Orzhov strategy. If you're looking to build an Orzhov deck, or if you really want that Orzhov style of play, but you just look at EDH Rick and you're like, well, I don't want to build tokens. I don't want to build just mono life gain. I don't want to build just Teysa Death Trigger stuff. This is a very unique spin on that. So, again, we have ways to reduce our own life total. Selenia being the commander, and that's why I mentioned earlier, so you can pay 2 life to bounce her to your hand, but you can do that in response to her own ability. So, if I'm at 38 life, I can activate that ability, and then do it again, and again, and again, and again, in response to her own effect before she goes to my hand. So I can bring myself right from 38 to 0, or I can bring myself from 2 to 0. A neat little rules caveat with this that you should know is if you have exactly the amount of life needed to pay for an ability, you can do it. So if I'm at 2, I can activate Selenia to bring myself to 0, but if I'm at 1, I don't have 2 life to pay, so I cannot activate Selenia when I'm at 1. That is important to know, that is relevant for a lot of combos in this deck, and it's why we have ways to give ourselves, ways to make ourselves lose life that aren't just an even number of 2. Like we have Wall of Blood, we have Necropotence, we have Pain Lands and Pain Mana Rocks, things like Mana Confluence, even though we're a 2-color deck, stuff like that. So we have ways to get ourselves to exactly 0 when we need to be. And then we have ways to survive our current existence, even when it's 0 life. We have Phyrexian Unlife, we have Platinum Angel, we have Getting to the Trials, things that say, I'm at 0, but I'm okay as long as this card is in play. And then we have the combo pieces, things like Reverse the Sands, an 8-mana sorcery that switches life totals, Mirror Universe, a very, very expensive reserve-less artifact, but you can switch it out for something like Soul Conduit if you really need to. And then things like Near-Death Experience that let us win the game at 1 life, things like Sanguine Bond and Exquisite Blood that can win the game in really interesting ways that aren't just the 2-card combo of Sanguine Bond and Exquisite Blood. And then we have some oft-forgotten life gain effects, things like Children of Corliss, things like Eternity Vessel, a very, very old artifact. I say very old, it's a little over 10 years old, but from original Zendikar, and things like Tainted Sigil. And then, of course, we round the rest of the deck out with mana ramp, card draw, and just staple interaction removal. This deck can take a little while to put together. You want to be spending your early turns ramping and drawing cards, even though we don't have access to green, which is why we're playing basically every mana rock possible, except for Arcane Signet. And we just want to spend turn 2 and 3 playing rocks, playing more rocks, playing things like Ambition's Cost to draw cards, and just trying to slow our opponent's gameplay down a little bit. That's the general goal, is we're going to try to play Selenia and reduce ourselves to 0 life, and then miraculously come back or end the game on the spot. And one of the other reasons I like this deck, I like it because it's a unique spin on Orzhov, but I really love this deck because of what it does at the table. I am a very, very big fan of strategies in Commander that incentivize attacking. I like players to get on the board and just start turning creatures sideways. I don't like games of Commander where everyone just shakes hands and crosses fingers and just has this mutual peace agreement till turn 5 or 6, where then people start playing giant haymakers and effects that really swing the board state, and then people finally start deciding to attack with larger creatures. I like Selenia because it encourages people to attack, but not necessarily you. You sort of get to play like that scene from The Dark Knight where you're the Joker and just staring down the motorcycle, and you want to get hit. You want them to attack you. But then they look at your empty board and they say, I could attack him, but his goal is to get to the 0 life anyway. He might have Angel's Grace. He might have some sort of effect that wants his life total to be reduced, so maybe I'll just go for somebody else instead. And it encourages that sort of attacking style. And you can sometimes play politics and just play this little go fish game of, do I have Angel's Grace, or do I have the Vidalcan Ori flash in Phyrexian Unlife? Do I have the Platinum Angel that I'm going to resurrect at instant speed or something like that? Stunning Reversal is another big one that from Battle Bond, where you can survive this giant Alpha Strike, go to 1 life, and then combo off the next turn. But it has risk. It has inherent risk. It's not like Palancron Deadeye Navigator, where you basically end the game on the spot, but you also just continue to play the game if your combo is interrupted by Go for the Throw. You will continue to just go and do your thing. But with this deck, if they have Lightning Bolt and you don't have the answer, or if they have even just a simple Boros Charm or something like that, you can find yourself regretting it. Even like something Ad Nauseam, if you cast it and then get a little greedy with that, you can regret it. This deck, in addition to that sort of standardized combo of, oh, I'm going to bring my life total to 0, I'm going to switch life totals with you, but I'm not going to die. There's a lot of other really intricate combos to this deck that a lot of players don't expect because they've never seen the cards before, or they just don't understand the interactions between these cards that they'll have. So a really good example of this is Eternity Vessel. It's a 6-mana artifact, and it comes into play with counters equal to the number of, or equal to your life total when you played it. So if you're at 38 life when you play this Eternity Vessel, it will come into play with 38 counters, and then every time you play a land, you have the option to reset your life to that total. What does this do? Well, setting your life to a specific total counts as gaining life, or losing life if you're setting it to a lower life total. So if I'm at 38, and I have Selenia out, and I have Eternity Vessel out, and then I have a Sanguine Bond effect out, like Veto Thorn of the Blood Rose, like Viscopa Guildmage, or just Sanguine Bond itself, I can pay a lot of life to Selenia, go down to like 1 or 2 life, and then I can play my land, trigger Eternity Vessel, and immediately gain back all that life that I lost. And because I have a Sanguine Bond effect out, now I get to dome somebody for a large amount of damage, which can just end them right there if they've taken a little bit of chip damage earlier, or if my life total was above 40 when I started the combo. So you have these weird effects like Tainted Sigil that say crack and sacrifice it, gain life equal to the total amount of life lost by all players this turn. And you can do crazy things with that where it counts the life that you pay, and it also counts any life that other players lost this turn, whether that's from fetches or whether that's from just your combo and your Sanguine Bond combo killing them out. So then you can crack the Tainted Sigil after this combo, gain a whole bunch more life, and maybe you have another way to play a land drop. Maybe you have something like Obstot's Aid or something really weird like that, where you can play another land in response to the landfall trigger, pay a bunch of life, set your life back up, and knock somebody else out of the game again there with 2. So we also have the near-death experience combo. We have ways to get ourselves to 1, like Angel's Grace. We have a lot of ways to manipulate our life total in very subtle, minute degrees. A lot of pain lands, a lot of pain artifacts even, like Cryptolith Fragment, things like Pristine Talisman to gain 1 little bit of life, lose 1 little bit of life, stuff like that. Ancient Tomb's another big one. And then we can just get our life totals to a very specific number. A fun little option for this deck that I used to have in here, but I eventually cut it, is Triskaidekaphobia. You can set up some really interesting combos with that, get a lot of people sweating about their life total, constantly moving the dials on everybody's life total at the table, and you can combo that with something like Tree of Perdition, too, just to give everybody another thing to sweat about and another weird, janky combo that uses cards that not a lot of people find. So one of these final combos that I would like to talk about is Hatred. And that is just a card that can get your life total to a very low amount. And this is, I mean, we're playing 7 creatures total, and that's if you count Erebos as a creature, which he's usually not. But we can just kill somebody with commander damage. I am a vocal advocate of adjusting commander damage so that it is not, so it's a little easier to keep track of at the table, but if you have Selenia out and somebody lets it through, they think, oh, that's just fine. He's going for the 3-chip commander damage anyway. It's not really relevant, but maybe he'll bounce Selenia later, and then you just Hatred them. You just Hatred plus your commander, and your commander's a flyer, and you only need to pay 18 life to bring them to 21 commander damage. So that is just another way to really get people and just have them constantly wondering about what's in your hand, what sort of combo options you have, and the ways you can end the game. Now, you can also use things like Bolas's Citadel. Bolas's Citadel is another card, kind of like Ad Nauseam, where you get to use the top card of your deck to constantly generate card advantage, and then just pay life while you're at it. And then if you have something like Platinum Angel in play, you're not worried about going below 0 or going to 0 or losing that much life. Things like Hex Parasite can be a way to, again, drain your own life total, but it's also a utility card. It can remove counters off of an Everflowing Chalice. It can remove copies off of Animar or Planeswalkers or anything else that just happens to have a lot of counters on it. There's a lot of counters in Commander, and just Hex Parasite removes dice off the table. And I mentioned that we round out the rest of the list with just a lot of generic card draw and mana rep, because that's really our early game goal, is to just play a Talisman or a Signet or something like that on turn 2, and then play more ramp on turn 3, and then just replenish our hand, rocks we played, by just drawing more cards, whether that's from Erebos or something like Necropotence. We have a couple tutors in here too, and again, some tutors are sometimes a controversial opinion, but this deck really does need its tutors sometimes to find the missing combo archetype card that you're missing. You're like, I need a way to get rid of my own life total. Selenia costs 9 mana right now or something like that, or I really need a way to gain life, or I just need a win condition, a way to switch life totals with somebody, and Demonic Tutor helps that out. And the last card I'm going to talk about with this deck is Vedalken Orrery. This is a very, very iconic card, in no small part due to Josh Lee Kwai just loving it and playing it in all his decks on Command Zone. And I don't play Vedalken Orrery in all of my decks, but this is one where it really, really shines, because you do play some instant speed interaction, but your deck very, very heavily benefits from playing at instant speed on other players' turns. I actually played this deck on stream a couple weeks ago with the rest of the Brainstorm Brewery crew, and my deck very, very heavily benefited from playing at flash speed. So you can go check out that video. It should be on our YouTube channel. It is the first BSB Commander Night Hangover Hangouts game stream, but you can see for yourself what Vedalken Orrery did there and how it let me just abuse the stack and play Repay in Kind at the end of somebody else's turn. So yeah, this was my Selenia deck tech. If you are interested in this, if you are looking for more of this stuff, please let me know. Hang out in the Discord channel, tag me at Twitter, at Rose of Thorns, the second O is a 0, that kind of thing. And if you are a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/BSB, we would love to do more of these deck techs with you, whether they're for our decks or your own decks, or just even a concept that you had that you wanted to go over with us. That is a perk we offer at the $20 tier. You can subscribe and then send us a DM and say, hey, I have this deck idea, or I want you to help me with this, streamline this archetype. We can absolutely do that for you, and you can get a spotlight on the YouTube channel, or you can just send us the list and have us go over it, and we'll do it in a style like this. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thank you so much for all the support. We really appreciate it. We are we are going to generate more content like this, like the SIG deck tech, like the deck tech that Jason's coming out soon with, and like this Selenia one as well. So the list is in the description. It's also just plastered on the video at some point. JJ is going to throw in the MTG Goldfish visual viewer and the actual text list itself, so you can check it out and hit me up with any thoughts or any weird exclusions or things you might think work in the deck. So yeah, thanks again, and have a good rest of the day, and we'll see you again later.